What's going on, guys? Thanks for watching. Keep calm and game on. In today's episode, we're going to be reacting to the newest White House press briefing that happened on June 3rd, 2025. It's been a while since I've watched any press briefings because I've just been busy with work and stuff. But I figured I would pop in and see what's up in the world. So here we go. Let me just pause that, make sure chat's up and running. Gonna hit the play button. So here we go. This is directly from the White House YouTube channel. Let's see what's up.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you?
I'm doing good, Caroline. How you doing? How you doing?
I want to start by addressing the horrific act of violence that took place on Sunday in Boulder, Colorado.
That doesn't sound good.
President Trump and the entire administration's hearts go out to the victims, and they are in our prayers during this unimaginable time. According to reporting from Fox News, the alleged attacker admitted in an interview that he wanted to kill all Zionist people and had been planning the attack for over a year.
Is this the guy
and
who's
would do
like
it again if he could. This monster used a makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktails to light Jewish Americans on fire in an attempt to burn them alive. The victims at the incident location in Boulder were there to rally in support of Israeli hostages who remain in Hamas captivity. 12 were injured, including a Holocaust survivor. This is pure evil. The Department of Justice has already filed federal hate crime charges against the alleged perpetrator, and he will be held accountable to the fullest
another late night stream
of the law. This tragedy is a sobering reminder of the consequences of the Biden administration's failed policies. According to the Department of Homeland Security,
I haven't watched one of these live streams in a while,
an Egyptian national who was in the United
States
I'd
see what's going on in the world.
He entered the U.S. during the Biden administration in August 2022 on a B-2 visa until it expired. Upon the visa expiration, he overstayed, filed an asylum claim, and was given a work authorization by the Biden administration. Instead of deporting this heinous individual, Joe Biden's administration allowed him to stay in our country.
Why'd you do it, Joe? What are you doing,
President
Joe?
Trump sounded the alarm over these reckless
Say it
Biden
ain't
policies
so, Joe.
for years because this is the predictable result of letting anti-American radicals and illegal immigrants pour into our country. Immigration security is national security.
Security is
important.
important.
That's why the Trump administration,
gotta lock those borders down,
at the direction of our great president, has secured our border, strengthened our immigration system, and has taken immediate steps to protect the United States from foreign terrorists and other public safety threats. President Trump acted swiftly upon taking office to reform our visa issuance process to ensure that dangerous aliens who are intent on harming Americans or our national security interests are no longer admitted into our country. Under the Trump administration, aliens will only be admitted into the United States through the legal process.
You like these
kind
of political streams?
Not bear hostile attitudes towards our citizens.
I was doing it for a while, and then
I
think I was just doing maybe too many, and YouTube got upset.
Under
so they
President
throttled
Trump,
my streams or something.
Zero tolerance for foreign visitors who support terrorism. Violators of U.S. law, including international students, will continue to face visa denial or revocation and deportation.
Yeah, buddy.
And illegal alien criminals will continue to be arrested and deported from our country. On that note, ICE and federal law enforcement partners just wrapped up a month-long surge operation arresting nearly 1,500 illegal aliens in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. During the enhanced operation, dubbed Operation Patriot, ICE Boston and other federal law enforcement personnel focused on transnational organized crime, gangs, and dangerous illegal alien offenders throughout Mass. More than half of the nearly 1,500 illegals arrested had significant criminal convictions or charges pending against them. Here are just some of the violent illegal aliens who were removed from communities in Massachusetts during Operation Patriot. A Salvadorian national with active Interpol red notice for aggravated homicide. A Guatemalan
we let all these people in.
Registered sex offender who had
yeah, Metal Man.
charges in Boston for 5 counts of indecent assault and battery on a person
reacting to one of the White House press briefings that happened. I think this was yesterday.
Who was last arrested for rape, indecent assault,
because it's been a while since I've watched one of these.
A Colombian national charged with kidnapping, aggravated rape, and indecent assault and battery on
last night. Nice, and then you get some.
And a Guatemalan national who was convicted.
You get some days off, or you're switching to daytime shift.
Also,
if you're just popping in, guys, welcome.
Who was charged with aggravated rape of a child by
We're watching the White House press briefing that happened yesterday,
in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And lastly, a Salvadorian national.
It's been a while since I've watched one of these, so I'm kind of out of the loop with what's going on, according to the White House.
I don't think anybody in this room wants these types of heinous criminals in your communities. And it's thanks to this administration that they are being removed from our country. When Democrat-run jurisdictions released violent illegal alien criminals back into communities,
and Joe Biden's administration let all these people into the country,
immigration enforcement like they should, those Democrats are putting law-abiding Americans at risk. And these insane policies force law enforcement officials to make much more difficult arrests that put their lives, our law enforcement lives, in jeopardy. President Trump is incredibly grateful for our heroic officers on the front lines getting these violent illegal alien invaders out of here. We want them. Law and order is back in America.
You're gonna break the law. You can break the law back in your own country.
There are new
not gonna do it here.
Crime statistics that show.
See you later, Jack.
In fact,
get out of here. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Murder rates are tumbling across the U.S. in 2025. Homicide stats are down at least 20% over last year. And we could be on course for the lowest number on record. With President Trump in charge, the days of criminals being put over victims are over. On the topic of immigration, the Washington Post just ran one of the most ridiculous headlines ever, even by their standards.
What is the Washington Post saying this time?
Several months ago,
those jokers, what are they saying?
Accountable in this room. The Washington Post actually had this headline: the mysterious drop in fentanyl seizures on the U.S.-Mexico border. How is this mysterious? There is no mystery about why there is a decrease in fentanyl coming into the United States. This administration's strong border policies are the reason there has been a decrease in fentanyl trafficking.
News outlets are like, how did this, what's going on? Did the cartels just stop? And did they just stop making them? No, it's because we locked the border up.
And drug trafficking at our United
States. But they never give credit to Trump. Very mysterious, guys.
At the U.S.
Very
border.
mysterious.
There is nothing mysterious about that, and we'd like to see the Washington Post update
They just can't admit when Trump does anything right.
This is clearly trying to intentionally manipulate the minds of the Americans, and I think the American people understand why there's been a fentanyl drop. In our office responded to this inquiry. We provided a whole host
the crazy thing is some people actually believe the crap that the mainstream media puts out.
To run them.
They don't ask any questions, just like, oh yeah, I guess that happened. I guess nobody knows why the fentanyl stopped coming in.
Inflation dropped to 2.1% in April. Personal income increased 0.8%.
It's because Trump's doing good things,
inflation
boys.
Is down and wages are up. That's almost triple the expectation.
I'm just waiting for some Trump haters to pop into the chat. They're just stewing right now.
We also saw the largest monthly
they're scrolling through and they're watching. They're like, oh my god,
this
guy's a Trumper.
Lastly, the price of eggs has dropped more than 61%.
He's watching
President Trump took office
the press secretary talk. Oh, he must be a Trumper.
I was asked about the cost of eggs. The reporter tried to insinuate it was this administration's fault.
Just spitting facts, guys.
Only been here
egg prices are down.
Or weeks.
Border crossings are down.
It was a result of the previous administration's
crime is starting to drop.
And in record time, this
mysteriously, no, it's not a mystery. It's because Trump's president and he's actually doing stuff.
Egg prices have dropped 61% since this president took office. There's a lot of
it's magical, just like how men can suddenly become women.
We have just the news and our new media seat today. Amanda Head, thank you for being with us. Why don't you kick us off?
Sure, thank you so much. There is a disturbing trend of anti-Semitism turning into terrorism. Of course, the Boulder, Colorado instance that you just mentioned, the two Israeli
because you got like morons on Twitch like Hassan Piker trying to normalize terrorism.
Set on fire. Does the president consider this domestic terrorism, and as such, are there official alerts to law enforcement, BOLOs, task forces, things like that?
The president has made it very clear, as he said in his statement yesterday, that yes, these anti-Semitic acts of violence are do qualify as terrorism, and he does not want to see terrorism or violence of any form taking place.
No
in the
terrorism in the
U.S.
U.S. You want to do that?
And as for specifically anti-Semitic terrorism and
do me a favor, guys. Smack that like button.
And those that are targeting Jewish Americans, this administration has done more to combat that violence than any administration in history. And one incident is one too many. And I think, frankly, that's something the previous administration was not willing to say. This president will stand up for Americans of all religions, of all faiths, of all creeds, and we will continue to look at policy measures and actions that we can take in addition to the actions that have already been taken to curb this anti-Semitic violence. And to Jewish Americans at home, across the country, this president has your back.
And then on
this president has your back. Did Joe Biden have your back? I don't even think Joe Biden knew he was president half the time.
But there are still states outstanding like California, Connecticut, Maine that are not allowing any religious exemptions for kids not only to go to school but to participate in sports and extracurricular activities. Would the president want to see religious exemptions allowed across all 50 states? And how do you enforce that, especially with states like California that are already defying the president on the men and women's sports issue?
Generally speaking, I know the president supports religious
You guys are watching the stream. What do you think about what Caroline Leavitt is talking about right now?
Specific states, I'll have the administration and the White House
Trump's
look
doing a
into
good
it
job?
and see what executive action, if
I think
any,
he's doing a
we can
good
take
job
on that front. Thank you.
He's doing a better job than Biden.
Good afternoon. We're now in hurricane season, and obviously there is great concern every year about
is
the
it ever
potential
not
for that.
hurricane
Can you
season?
speak
I feel
to
like there's
how
a
the
hurricane every other
president
day.
is planning to have the level of support, should it be needed, to be as it has been with a reduction in the workforce? And is he still comfortable with Administrator Richardson, who had talked, whether joking or not, about not being aware of a hurricane season for this country? What is the president's level of briefings on what may be required? If you could give us kind of an overall update on that.
Sure. Well, of course, we
What
know
support
that we are
did
into
he
hurricane
give during
season
hurricane
now,
season?
and I know
Yeah,
FEMA
not
is
much.
taking this seriously, contrary to some
Not
of
much.
the
Didn't he, like,
reporting we
visit
have
someplace,
seen
like, a
based on
month after it
jokes that
actually
were made
happened?
and leaks from meetings.
A monkey would have
but
done a better job
Secretary
than
Kristi
Biden. I agree,
and the
Jeebus.
FEMA leadership are all over
I
this. They are
agree,
committed to
Jeebus.
ensuring that federal resources and tax dollars are there for Americans in need, and the president continues to review requests for emergency aid and carefully considering them. However, this president has made it clear we're not going to enable states to make bad decisions with federal tax dollars and then have the federal
gonna
government
waste
later
money,
have to bail
we're gonna pull your
these
funding.
states out. We want to
Simple
see
as that.
states be responsible with their
Simple.
tax dollars to do as much as they possibly can.
Stop
and
wasting
the president
money.
will deeply and thoughtfully consider any requests
You wanna waste
for
money?
federal aid
Waste
that
your
come
own
to
money,
his desk.
okay?
And I think some
They
of the
get paid
media
enough.
reporting we've seen on this is frankly
People in
sloppy
Congress and all them,
irresponsible.
they get paid enough.
There are
They don't
serious
gotta waste our
people
money.
who are taking
Waste
this
their own
issue
money.
seriously, starting with the president himself, who, as you know, on his first domestic trip back in office, visited both North
FEMA doesn't
Carolina
need to
and
exist.
California.
not gonna
both
do their
of
job,
which
then
were,
they
of course,
don't.
hit by natural disasters when he wasn't even president, but he took ownership of that and visited those places and those people immediately.
Is it
Brian.
about hurricane season appropriate, though, now that this is serious business, as you talked about?
It's serious business, Kelly, and I'm not going to engage in such fodder with a question like that. Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. Reuters was reporting
Make people
that there's
accountable
a
again.
letter
I agree.
That is
100%.
meant to be sent to other countries, which would give these countries a deadline of Wednesday to produce their best offer on the trade matter. Why does the administration feel the need to send this letter? And I have one more follow-up on trade.
Sure, I can confirm the merits in the content of the letter. USTR sent this letter to all of our trading partners just to give them a friendly reminder that the deadline is coming up.
Deadline's coming, boys. You think those tariffs are just magically going to go away? Nah.
Secretary Lutnick are in
Nah,
talks
we
with
mean business,
many
guys.
of our key trading partners around
We
the
gave
globe.
you a
As
chance.
You know,
We gave you
Brian,
an
I know the
extension
Wall
on the
Street Journal has
tariffs.
covered this quite heavily.
We make some deals, but if you're not
and
going to make
they continue
deals,
to be engaged in those discussions.
if
and
you're
this
not
letter
gonna come
was
to the
simply
table and try to
remind these
negotiate,
countries
then
that the deadline is approaching.
that
and the
tariff is
president
still gonna
expects
pop
good deals,
in.
and we are on track for that.
they're going to be
emphasize.
pretty sorry that they wasted all this
United
time.
Kingdom, there was this idea of a reprieve on the auto tariffs. Is the president looking to do
Because
another
Trump don't mess
similar
around,
deal on
boys.
a sector by sector?
Trump does what he says he's gonna
reduction in
do.
tariffs, or is this more
For better or
gonna be
worse,
deals
he does
related
what he
to
says he's gonna
reciprocal
do.
tariffs that were announced months ago?
Well, as I've said previously from the podium, and the president has discussed as well, each country has unique advantages, unique challenges to it based on their markets and what they export to us and what we export to them. And so that's why the president.
If you're just popping in the stream, guys, welcome to the channel. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. I do a lot of gaming content. I watch political videos every so often, reaction videos, stuff like that. So if you like what you're watching, subscribe.
Smartly advised his trade team to engage in tailor-made deal making, and we saw that with the
Tailor-made
United Kingdom,
deal making.
and we will see that with other countries as well.
The best.
Does the president support the Senate moving forward with a bill imposing heavy sanctions on Russia?
Look, the president has spoken about his position on sanctions on Russia. He has smartly kept this as a tool in his toolbox.
If Russia don't come to the
but
table, man.
I think the Senate and everyone on
Did you hear about
Capitol Hill
Ukraine,
respects
like,
the president as the
destroying,
commander-in-chief
what was
for
it,
a
like,
reason.
40
And as you know, Russia and
40
Ukraine
Russian
engaged in
bombers or
direct
something with some
talks
drones?
yesterday.
That was
at the
crazy.
encouragement of this president.
I think it was like
He
41.
spoke to both leaders of both countries via phone just a couple of weeks ago.
Millions and millions of dollars.
I would just like to remind everybody how far we have come in just 4 months. I mean, it was inconceivable last year at this time for Russia and Ukraine to be engaged in direct talks. And it's because of the president's insistence and determination to get this war to an end that these countries sat down yesterday. So he's willing to use sanctions if he needs them, and the Senate and the Capitol Hill understand that the president is the commander-in-chief and he's leading United States foreign policy as he should.
Commander-in-chief.
The president said that the U.S. would not allow for any uranium enrichment, but the proposal offered to the Iranians reportedly allows for low levels of enrichment. Can you explain that discrepancy?
I'm not going to comment on alleged details of the report. We're not going to negotiate through the media out of respect for these ongoing discussions and negotiations that Special Envoy Witkoff is leading. The president made his position very clear on Truth Social last night. In fact, it couldn't be any more clear, and I would reiterate that's his position. Special Envoy Witkoff sent a very detailed and acceptable proposal to the Iranian regime that the president hopes they will accept. And if not, they will face grave consequences, as the president himself has reiterated. Sure.
Thanks.
They can't have a nuke. Simple as that.
A couple of things, if I may.
Non-negotiable.
Can you confirm whether or not President Trump is going to be going to the NATO summit in The Hague later this month?
I can confirm he will be going to the NATO summit. Yes.
Do me a favor, guys, smack that like button.
The Netherlands, in fact. Just wondering if you have any reaction to the collapse of the Dutch government there after the anti-EU and anti-Islam leader Geert Wilders, who's been described as the Dutch Trump, pulled out of the government there.
I don't have a comment on that, but certainly we should and we will get you one, okay?
Thanks.
You're welcome. Brett.
Thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask, a couple days ago, the president announced that he was withdrawing the nomination of Jared Isaacman to lead NASA, citing a thorough review of prior associations. I wondered, why did this review happen just now after?
Middleman in chat says, Adam, did you hear that Pakistan blocked a law banning child marriage and called it non-Islamic?
The nominee was so far into the process.
Okay.
Can you explain the president's thinking on who he might choose?
Look, the president reserves the right to nominate individuals to key administration posts. He also reserves the right to remove those individuals if he chooses, just like he reserves the right to fire anybody in the executive branch that he wants.
If they're not doing their job,
a new replacement for NASA
gets rid of them.
Will be announced very soon, as the president
Unlike past administrations,
something in particular that came
like
up
Joe
that caused
Biden.
the president concern with this
If somebody wasn't doing their job or they
wants to
sucked at their
ensure that all
job,
of his
they would just
nominees
keep
are
letting them do their job
aligned
because they didn't
fully
want it to
with
look
the
bad
America First
that this guy
mission of
got
this
fired.
administration. And again, he will be
And they didn't want to make it seem like, oh, Joe Biden made a mistake.
Andrew,
But Trump, he don't care.
Thank
If he
you.
hires somebody and they're not doing a good job,
It's been
he fires
just
them,
about a
and
month
they're gone.
since
Get somebody better.
Prime Minister Starmer announced.
That's using your brain. You got an employee that isn't doing their job, you fire him and find somebody better.
So it's been
Like the only
just about a month
president
since
that
Prime
does
Minister
that.
Starmer
Everybody
and
else is just like,
President Trump announced that,
I guess they suck,
the
but
US and
oh well.
UK had reached a trade deal.
right.
I guess they'll just suck for 4 years, maybe 8
Now
years.
there are at least some conservative
Not with Trump, though.
MPs
Gets rid of
in
him.
London who are complaining that
Smart.
Parliament has not yet seen the text of any deal. So I'd like to ask you from this side of the pond, is there a text for the deal ready to be released, submitted, and if not, when can we expect it? And then I have one more.
There's most definitely text with this deal. There is language that this side has seen. You'll have to ask the UK Parliament why they haven't seen it from their own government. I obviously can't answer that question.
And on Caroline, one more on Ukraine,
Go ahead,
please.
Jonathan. Sure, go ahead.
On Ukraine, it's been a couple days since Ukraine made that
Brandon,
audacious
with
drone
a
strike on Russian
$2
airfields.
I mean, Jeebus with the $2 donation. Hit that like button like it owes you money. Appreciate it, Jeebus.
The president hasn't said
Thank you for the
a word
$2
about
super
it,
chat.
and usually he's not shy about making his thoughts known
Don't you
on
love that?
the war, or it's not bad.
Give
on,
that
on the war or any
a
other
thumbs up.
subject.
Bam.
What have you heard from him on this audacious drone strike? Is he surprised? He said that Zelensky didn't have the cards when they met in the Oval Office a few months back.
You don't have the cards.
Does Zelensky possibly have some cards that the president hadn't known about?
Look, the president's thinking on the Russia-Ukraine war as it stands, I spoke to him about it just this morning, is he remains positive at the progress that we've seen. Again, he urged both leaders to sit down and talk directly with one another. And they did that. Russia handed over a memorandum of peace, or a peace plan, or a suggestion of one, I understand, to the Ukrainian side. They also agreed upon the exchange of prisoners or hostages from each other's countries.
Gotta get
so
that war
he
stopped,
remains
guys.
positive about the progress that we're seeing, but he
gotta
also
get that war stopped.
is a realist, and he realizes these are two countries that are at war and have been for a long time because of his predecessor's
just needs
weakness
to
and
get
incompetence. So he's
along.
working hard to solve this conflict.
Anybody
That's
agree?
where his mind is right now on it.
Stop the
Jonathan,
fighting.
Thank you. Same topic, just to put a finer point on it. Does President Trump approve of Ukraine's decision to strike nuclear-capable bombers in Russia?
I would like to let the president speak on that himself.
And just to follow up, has the
I
president...
would just add to that. The president does not want to see this war prolonged. He wants the fighting to stop. He wants people to stop dying, and he wants this to be solved at the negotiating table. The reason he is so deeply involved and has spent so much time and effort on this
Let's make a
war
deal.
is because he hates to see people dying.
Let's
Again,
stop
these
the
are not
fighting.
Americans that are being killed. These are Russians and these are Ukrainians. This is a war very far away. But this president truly
If you're
cares
just
about
joining the
peace,
stream, guys,
and
we are
that's what he wants
reacting
see.
to the press
What is President Trump
briefing
doing to ensure that
from yesterday,
a
the newest
similar
press briefing that just
internal
happened.
drone attack doesn't happen here in the US, given this was done at pretty low cost, very stealthily. You know, it obviously raises
drones are
questions
the
about our
future,
own
guys.
security, particularly for US
And it's
aircraft.
pretty scary to
It
think that like a
absolutely does.
$500,
And that's why the
$1,000
president
drone
nominated
could
Secretary
take out like a
Hegseth and has
multi-million
approved some
dollar
of the changes
bomber,
that have been made
just
at
like
the Pentagon
that.
to ensure that we have
Pretty
the
crazy.
most lethal fighting force in the world.
how many
and that
drones
the
you can
United States
make
military
for the
is
cost?
best, the
For like
biggest.
1/10
That's
of the
why he
cost
wants
of like
the one
a
big beautiful bill
bomber
to be
or like
passed
an
because it increases
aircraft,
our
a
defense
jet.
spending. It's why he also
We make
launched
a
the
crap
announcement of
ton
the
of
Golden
drones,
Dome
like
to prevent
probably
from
thousands
missile
and
strikes
thousands of
attacks in the
drones
future. And the president
for
has a
1/10
full
of the price
understanding, I can tell you, because I've spoken
of like
to
a
him
jet.
about it, about the future of warfare and how drones are a big part of that. And I will not get ahead of our policy team, but I think you can expect to see some executive action on that front in the very near future. Caitlin.
Two questions for you as well. On the big, beautiful bill, you said recently that it is, quote,
big,
blatantly
beautiful
wrong
bill.
to say that it adds to the deficit. You essentially said that an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office and other scorekeepers you believe are wrong. But Republicans like Ron Johnson and Rand Paul disagree. They are saying that it will add to the deficit. That is their concern. Is the White House's position that those two Republican senators are, quote, blatantly wrong?
It is. Those senators, it's not news that they disagree with this president on policy, and the president has vocally called them out for it and for their not having their facts together. I would add the Congressional Budget Office has been historically wrong. In fact, they predicted the Trump tax cuts from the president's first term in 2017.
They're always getting stuff wrong.
Their prediction was wrong by $500 billion.
Everybody says, oh, this isn't
Those
going to
tax
work.
cuts
Trump doesn't know what he's doing.
had
His experts, they're
nearly
phonies.
$500 billion
And then
more
Trump
of
does
revenue
something
than
and
the
it actually
Congressional
works.
Budget Office scored. And I would also
And then
point
the
out,
experts
I
are
don't
like,
think many
oh,
people know this,
well,
there hasn't
I
been
guess he got
a
lucky.
single staffer
He got
in
lucky.
the entire Congressional
We
Budget
actually knew
Office
that this was
that
gonna
has
happen.
contributed
It was
to
a shot in the
Republican
dark. He
since the
just
year
got lucky.
2000.
Yeah, okay.
But guess what? There have been many staffers
Or maybe
within the
Trump actually
Congressional
knows what
Budget
he's doing.
Office who have contributed to
Yeah.
Democrat candidates and politicians every single cycle since. So unfortunately, this is an institution in our country that has become partisan and political, and we are very confident in our own economic analyses of this bill. There is $1.6 trillion in savings, and our
We
Office
do our
of
homework,
Management and
guys.
Budget Director, Russ Vought, is a fiscal
The press is
hawk.
basically
He
a
well known
puppet
in the
for
city
corruption.
being
Yeah,
a
pretty much,
well-respected
Mailman.
fiscal hawk. He has
Pretty much.
tools at his disposal to produce even more savings. And as you
That's
know,
why a lot of people
the White
distrust
House will
the
be
media.
sending our rescissions package to Capitol Hill today.
And on immigration, the other day that the Homeland Security Secretary said, and I'm quoting her now, that an illegal alien threatened to assassinate President Trump and highlighted his arrest. A man has now admitted to framing him, saying that he wrote the letter that the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posted online. Last I checked before I came into the room, that post was still up from DHS. Does the White House expect them to issue a clarification or a correction on that
We
front?
can ask the Department of Homeland Security and get back to you. Jeff.
Caroline, is the United States putting pressure on China to release its hold on rare earths that are hurting car companies and
Thank you,
technology
Gad.
companies now that require that for their
Gad
for their
Sanuka?
products?
Am I pronouncing that
And
right?
is that
Right?
pressure working?
Thank you, Gad, for hitting that subscribe button,
I
bro.
can assure you that the
Appreciate it.
administration is actively monitoring China's compliance with the Geneva Trade Agreement.
Real quick, guys, I do a lot of gaming content on the channel. I do reaction videos like this where I'm reacting to the news, kind of giving my input, trailer reactions, a little bit of everything, mainly a gaming channel, but I like to keep up to date with the news and stuff. So if that sounds entertaining, consider subscribing. If you really want to help the channel, you can hit the join button, like Jeebus in the chat, and get some channel perks and stuff if you want to help keep the lights on and my internet going so I can do these videos. But back previous program. Let's go.
I know the United States, on our end, we have complied with the terms that we set, and our administration officials continue to be engaged in correspondence with their Chinese counterparts. And as you all know, and I know there's a lot of interest in it, there will be a leader-to-leader talk very soon. And when that happens, as always, we will let you know.
Also, Asia, just does the White House have a reaction to the results of the election in South Korea?
Yes, we do. In fact, let me find it here for you. Should be somewhere in here. Thank you. We do not, but I will get you one, Jeff.
Go ahead. Thanks, Caroline. 2 questions on trade. Is this letter that was sent to trading partners a sign that the president isn't satisfied with the pace of these
negotiations? I just put a poll in the chat, guys. Is the press trustworthy?
Well, look, the president's been very direct to our trading partners.
You think the press can be trusted?
And with foreign leaders directly.
I think some of them can.
They need to cut deals with the United States
but
of
a lot
America.
of them, they have their own agendas,
agenda
unfortunately.
Of this president, he believes very strongly in it. And as you've
and
all
Jeebus,
seen,
yes,
he's
I
unafraid
do work
to
tomorrow,
use tariffs. To protect our industries and protect our workers, but he wants to see these tailor-made deals be signed. And I will tell you, of course, I never want to be the one negotiating with the press about these internal discussions and deliberations, but our team, who is deeply involved in this, sees these deals moving in the right direction. In
those
fact,
tariffs are coming, guys. Like, if countries don't get on board and start negotiating, those tariffs are coming.
Flurry of deals in the next 36 days, and the plan is
like,
still for those
we
full
gave
tariffs
them
to go back
a little bit of a
effect.
cushion.
The plan is for the
pause the tariff thing for a while, but
very soon. Yes.
they think it's not coming, but it's coming.
Thank you, Caroline.
And they better come to the table. They're going to be.
So Governor Whitmer confirmed that she spoke with President Trump about the possibility of pardoning the plotters against her.
Happy Toro says, "In God we trust."
She didn't give us
how you doing, man?
An idea of what the
In
president's
God we
reaction
trust.
was
Like
to
that name,
Do you
bro.
have any information
DW, how you doing, bro?
Well, I won't reveal the president's
you haven't already,
private
guys, drop a
discussion
comment in the
unless he
chat,
gives me liberty to,
especially if
but
you're brand
I
new.
will reiterate what he said publicly when he
Welcome,
was asked
Turtle.
by one of the journalists in this room in the Oval Office.
And we will pay for them. I don't know about that, Turtle.
The pardons, he said it's something he would look at, nothing more.
I think it's going to bring jobs back to the U.S. That's what I think.
Go ahead.
Because companies aren't going to want to deal with the tariffs, so they're just going to start making it in America.
When it comes to the leader-to-leader
A lot of companies are starting to build factories and plants here. It's just going to take some time.
Outcomes out of this, or
In the long run, it's going to be better, though.
Warm relations as these trade talks are ongoing.
Yeah, these countries think we can't function without them. Yeah, we can. All the crap China makes, we don't even need.
I won't get ahead of the president on that.
And I think Americans are going to realize we don't need that crap. Like, we can spend a little bit more if we actually need it, get it made in America, or we just don't need it.
Caroline, thank you. I want to get back to the anti-Semitic behavior that's been going on.
I work at a thrift store, guys. I know where all this stuff that's made in China, all this stuff you buy in the stores that you see on TV, I know where it goes. It gets donated to the thrift store. Okay, everyone thinks, oh, this is a great idea. I'm going to use this thing. I'm going to buy it. It's cheap. It's from China. Who cares? They buy it a month later, a week later, a couple days later. It ends up in the landfill or in the thrift store. Eventually, people are going to be like, okay, these cost a little bit more now. Do I actually need it? I donated the last one. Maybe I just won't buy it. And people are going to save some money. Big deal. Big deal. Okay, it's really not that big of a deal, guys. It's not. It ends up in the thrift store. I know because I work there. Okay, I see where it all goes. It's cheap plastic garbage. Yes, I agree.
As well as the anti-task force on
tariffs are good, especially if it leads to the elimination of income tax. I think that's Trump's big goal. I don't know if that'll happen in the next 4 years, but
these kinds of acts that have been going on.
Yeah.
Can these entities and these agencies work together with the president to put out a proactive campaign to
less is more, guys. You don't need all that stuff.
I think the president himself has been leading on this, Kelly, and has been incredibly clear in
Matthew
his
Davis
rhetoric
says, how is the
that he
stupidity
not going
this
to
strong?
tolerate such
Question
hate
mark.
or behavior in the United States of America, and you will see that rhetoric being followed up by action.
Turtle says, the ignorance on tariffs is astonishing. Good luck, and we will see sooner rather than later. Good luck. We'll see, man. I mean, it's been working so far. It's been working so far. Countries are coming to the table. We're making deals.
From the Department of Justice, who is seeking to prosecute these cases.
I'll start in the chat says, I heard that tariffs will be removed from milder for countries that agree to fair trade, maybe not that they're permanent, can't say for sure.
Targeted terrorism, and there was some,
yeah, it's a negotiating tactic,
criticism
guys.
From the media, and well, at least pundits I saw on television.
Like Canada's got a lot of tariffs on us, and that's not fair. So we're just like trying to make things more even.
Those to the American people, and they're
so if they don't want us to put tariffs on, they need to pull their tariffs back. What's wrong with that?
Administration.
Are there programs that they can put in place to campaign against this kind of violence, to actually
it's a
take the
negotiating
whole approach
tool,
and say,
guys.
we want to get ahead
Negotiating.
of you. If you're thinking it, don't do it. And
you think of a country is like, okay, we're just gonna put a ton of tariffs on America because they're not gonna do anything. They're weak. They're not gonna fight back. They're just gonna take it. And that was true in the past. But now we're like, hey, if you're gonna put a bunch of tariffs on us, maybe we're gonna put a bunch of tariffs on you. And they're gonna be like, whoa, maybe we better rethink this. We're playing with a different person here. We're not playing with Joe Biden. Maybe we better think about, do we want to keep the tariffs going? Because Trump's kind of crazy. He might actually do what he said he's going to do, and we might actually start losing money, and our factories might start closing because nobody in America is buying stuff in China anymore. If you go watch videos from China, a lot of factories are closing down. A lot of companies are shutting down because they have backstock because nobody's buying stuff from China anymore because of all the high tariffs. Look into it, guys, okay? Look into it.
if you're going to do it, sit down and talk to someone within the Faith Office, within the Religious Liberty Commission, as well as the task force.
Yeah, surely. It's a good idea, and I'll pass it along to them. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline.
It already is
When you
working,
look at
man.
these last-minute
There's like a lot of
Biden
companies
pardons, the big
coming
ones.
to America.
Biden siblings, Fauci, January 6th.
Apple's
committee.
investing a crap ton here.
Most of the big
Hyundai's
ones
investing
have
a
the
crap
same
ton.
Very neat signature.
Companies making
We would expect that
semiconductors,
probably
they're
to
coming
be
from
the
Taiwan. They're
There
building
is
plants in
one
like Arizona now.
That looks different. It looks authentic. In
Well,
fact,
a
if you look
lot of
at the
people are
last name,
investing
it
in
almost looks
America.
like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there.
Because they don't want to deal
Is
with the tariffs.
this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the auto pen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years?
Nobody
Perhaps
knows.
Those documents were signed.
I don't even
with
think
the
Joe
auto pen,
Biden knows who was running the
something
country.
that this,
He wasn't running the
I
country.
believe the Department of Justice is looking into, as you saw Ed Martin
Joe
made an
Biden didn't even
announcement
know
at the
who he
Department of
was.
Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Is there any concern that
I love it how liberals and Democrats say that Trump supporters are in a cult. Nah, guys, I think you need to look into what a cult is.
this president who won the election on a promise to fix the economy and close the border, that
Half the
focusing
Democrats,
and
they just hate Trump
scrutinizing
because
these Biden
somebody told them to.
pardons is
They don't
looking
even know why they
into
hate
the
Trump.
past instead of looking forward.
Like, well, somebody
in
on Twitter
comparison to the
told
amount
us
of
to hate
time
Trump,
this
and
president
somebody
has
told us he's a
spent on
racist and a Nazi,
securing the
so
border, on
I guess
fixing
he
our
is.
economy. I just read out for you an entire list of economic accomplishments. Look at the border numbers. Look at the time and effort he's divulged into solving the global conflicts abroad. It pales in comparison, but it still, nevertheless, is a very important issue. And
Those same
it was a
people
huge
said Joe
issue,
Biden was as
that
sharp
sent the
as a
president
tack.
back to this White House. The Americans saw with their own eyes
Those
a
same,
mentally incompetent
those same
president,
news
and they
outlets
want
said
answers
Joe
for that,
Biden
and
was
the
all
president
there,
believes
really
they
great
should have
behind
And
that.
something that
closed
just
doors.
dropped,
Really
Caroline,
sharp,
how
really
mad do you
smart.
think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk
Okay,
said,
sure.
I'm
Supposed to
sorry, but I
believe
just
them.
can't stand it anymore. This
Okay.
massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it.
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. Tamara.
Thank you. The National Security Council was reorganized, or some staffing changes were made the Friday before Memorial Day. I'm hoping you can explain sort of the new structure, what the structure is of the National Security Council, what the goal is in terms of staffing levels. You know, what is the new National Security Council mode?
Well, as with everything in this White House, it is a top-down approach. The president is here. He is president. He's not an auto pen like the previous president was. He's very much involved in literally every policy.
Metal Man in the chat says, Matthew, did you know that all the auto assembly plants in Mexico pay their employees $2.80 per hour versus the American counterparts at $40 per hour? Interesting.
Discussion and decision that takes place, and we felt it was best to reorganize the National Security Council to respond to that top-down approach that we have here in this White House, and to streamline the efficiency and the effectiveness of the National Security Council. And I would add that Secretary of State Rubio and now National Security Advisor Rubio is doing a tremendous job at leading the National Security Council.
Why do we need like tens of thousands of employees when like 1,000
where the
people could do the
president is
job?
on these issues. He's great to work with here at the White House. us. I can tell you that. I appreciate seeing him a lot more
Less
in the
is
building.
more sometimes, guys. Less is
he
more.
and the president and the entire National Security Council, who's made up of great patriots who love this country, are doing a tremendous job on the many conflicts around the world that this administration inherited.
Is there a goal staffing level?
I'm sorry?
Is there a goal for the staffing level, like the number of people who would be in this National Security
Look, we
Council?
just want the National Security Council to be as efficient as possible, and if staffing needs are necessary, I'm sure Secretary Rubio would not mind hiring people if necessary, but again, we've been working with them day in and day out, and they're chugging along and doing great work. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, if I can. President Trump got involved himself in presidential election in Poland by supporting a conservative candidate who ultimately won.
Yeah.
What does it mean for the future U.S.-Polish relations? What's likely to change?
Well, I believe the president is obviously pleased to see the result of the Polish elections. He met with Karol Nawrocki, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yes, Nawrocki.
Nawrocki.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your insight on that. He met with him at the White House, and he told him, you're going to win because you support common sense. And he supported strong borders in Poland. He supported
Our manufacturing
an end
have been
to
abusing
the woke,
American people by
radical
focusing on
DEI
higher profits.
stuff that we've seen not just here in the United States, but really take
I
over
believe it.
Europe and frankly the whole world.
Pretty much
He's
every
very
company.
outspoken about that. And I was reading the reports about how the Polish people felt about this man, and they felt like he was putting
But
the
not
needs
anymore.
of Poland first. And that's a very refreshing feeling, one that we know very well here in the United States of America. So as you know, the United States and Poland have always had a very deep and strong relationship, friendship. They're a great ally, and I know the president continues to look forward
The
to
blonde
working
woman
with
is
them.
fantastic.
On Ukraine,
Yeah, that's
Ukrainian
Caroline
drone
Levitt,
attack,
the
on
press
Russia.
secretary, youngest
Was
press
President
secretary
Trump
in history.
informed in
I think
advance
she's only like
by
27
Ukraine
years old.
that the attack is coming?
He was not. Carrie.
Caroline, so just want to go back to the issue on the anti-Christian bias as well as issues on
Isn't it crazy how like everyone's like Trump hates women, but Trump's always putting women in positions of power. But oh, Trump hates women. If Trump hated women, why does he have so many women in his administration working for him? If he hates them, kind of strange, right? Kind of strange.
Senator Grassley just
really make sense,
put
right?
out a report saying that the files, FBI files, have showed that the Catholic group targeting was way more prevalent within the FBI during the Biden era than was previously shown, as far as former FBI Director Christopher Wray was putting out there during congressional testimony.
Do me a favor, guys. Smash that thumbs up button. Let's get this live stream to the top.
What President Trump would like to see in terms of consequences within the FBI, as far as those.
Brian says, so he can have power over them. He gets off on watching them lie for him. Doubtful, man. Very doubtful. I think you might be living in a dream world there, Brian.
Who were involved. Also, the second question, if the DOJ finds that the auto pen was used
Maybe
by,
Trump just thinks women are
by
as
President
capable as
Biden,
men to do the job.
Should those actions that were used with the auto pen, should they be null and void?
Possible.
I'm not going to get ahead of the Department of Justice's investigation into the usage of the auto pen. And the question is not was
I think
the
his
auto
chief
pen
of staff
used,
is
it's
also a
whether or
woman.
not the president of the United
Like the
States
person in
knew
charge of
it was
hiring
being
everybody?
used, and if not, who was using
Is a
it
woman.
in his name, which is clearly illegal behavior. Deanna.
Thanks, Caroline. One on foreign policy, one domestic, if I can.
Sure.
On foreign, just speaking to the president's Truth Social post about Iran recently, saying that there will be no uranium enrichment. Is he saying that that's a red line for him, or no?
I already answered this question. The president's been very clear about where he stands on that.
Okay, and then on domestic, there is.
No, man, I'm not trolling for views. You know, Trump won by a pretty big margin. Majority of Americans wanted Trump to be president again, and he's president. So the majority of Americans didn't think Trump was racist, didn't think he was sexist, thought he was actually doing a good job the first time around. So they voted for him, you know? They voted for him, and now he's our president. And Democrats and liberals, they can't stand it. Like, oh, orange man bad, orange man's Nazi. How dare they try to cut spending and make the government run better on less money? How dare we try to stop people from coming into our country that shouldn't be here? How dare we try to, make peace happen and stop these wars? Why are we trying to make things in America? Why are we doing these things? That's crazy talk. Guys, do you listen to yourself? That sounds like a cult to me, okay? When you have all these common sense things and everyone's like, oh, no, but I heard on CNN that he's a Nazi and he can't be trusted and he's a Russian agent and blah, 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 blah. Maybe just stop listening to the news and, ask yourself, why are these bad things? You guys lock your doors at night? You lock your cars? You have passwords on your, bank accounts and stuff? Why is that? Oh, because it makes things safer. So why wouldn't you close the borders? Why wouldn't you, check people that are coming in? Do you just let some random guy just walk in your house? No. Let some random guy drive your car? No. So why is that different than, kind of knowing who we're letting into our country? Kind of common sense. If you don't think that's common sense, then maybe you're the one with the issues up here. Okay? I'm just saying. So no, I'm not trolling for views. I'm just talking common sense.
There's a report that
Shocking.
Laura Loomer met with the vice president
Shocking,
today.
right?
Can you speak to her relationship with the administration and if she's informally advising in any way?
She is not. I do know she met with the vice president. As for what was discussed in that meeting, I would defer you to his team.
Thanks, Caroline. I had one question on anti-Semitism, one question on China. So for years, radical leftists and Islamists have been calling for so-called globalize the Intifada. Do you believe this is a call for violence against Jews? And do you think these attacks on Jews around our country is what globalizing the Intifada looks like?
I don't want to speak to the merits of those claims without looking into them, but as I said, any violence against Jewish Americans will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Absolutely. And also, Secretary of
Also, Jeebus in the chat says, Trump puts the right people in the job they're best suited for instead of these DI hires. True. Doesn't matter what race, what sex you are. If you're good at the job, you get the job. Whoever's the most qualified and he thinks can do the job gets the job. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it works. Doesn't matter if you're a woman, what race you are, man, how old you are. Doesn't matter. He doesn't give a crap. It's like, can you do the job or can't you do the job? And we hire them. And if they can't do the job, he fires them and finds somebody else that can do the job. Pretty easy, right? Pretty easy. Now this DEI crap.
State Rubio made an announcement saying he'll be revoking visas of certain Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party.
Smash that like button, guys.
Sons and daughters of
Get this stream
politicians,
to the top.
presidents, and chairmen?
Again,
To the
Secretary
top.
of State Rubio has the right to revoke visas, and he made the announcement that the State Department will begin to aggressively revoke those visas of Chinese students who are in our country, namely those with Chinese Communist Party ties, or those who could be a threat to our national security and the interests of the United States. To both of you, yeah, go ahead and then back.
Thank you. There are now reports that Israeli forces are firing on Palestinians trying to get aid from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Up to 20 people, according to the Red Cross, have arrived to the hospital that they've set up with gunshot wounds, have died from them. Is this administration aware of these? And I mean, what is being done to address this situation?
The administration is aware of those reports, and we are currently looking into the veracity of them because, unfortunately, unlike some in the media, we don't take the word of Hamas with total truth. We like to look into it when they speak.
We like to do our
unlike
research.
the BBC,
Yes.
who had multiple headlines. They wrote, Israeli tank kills 26, Israeli tank kills 21, Israeli gunfire kills 31, Red Cross says 21 people were killed in an aid incident, and then, oh wait, they had to correct and take down their entire story, saying we reviewed the footage and couldn't find any evidence of anything. Oh, okay. So we're going to look into reports before we confirm them from this podium or before we take action. And
Yeah, see, I used to think everything that was on the news was just legit. Like, they do their research. Why would they lie? Then I started seeing how they started treating Trump when he ran the first time, of them just like spinning every single thing he said. I was like, wait a minute, maybe they're just twisting things to fit a narrative that they want. Then I started looking into it more, and I'm like, yo, this seems a little sketchy. And it just kept happening. Steve, thank you for subscribing, bro. It just kept happening more and more and more. And it's like, they just spin things. They spin everything. Fox News does it too. CNN does it. I try to like go to the source. Like there isn't any. I mean, this is just her talking, spitting out facts. I don't have to listen to some pundit for them to tell me, oh, this is what they actually meant. Or like Joe Biden when he would tell people stuff, and then the moderators, the CNN moderators and CSNBC, they'd be like, well, this is what Biden actually meant. When none of his words, you couldn't even understand a single word Biden said. You could barely get through one sentence. And then the media was like, Biden said this. And they have to like interpret what he said because nobody could understand it. I'm like, guys, but you said he was as sharp as a tack, but he can't formulate a sentence? Oh, well, you know. No. Okay.
And I suggest
you need to open your
that
eyes, guys.
journalists
Okay.
who
Open your
actually
eyes.
care about truth do the same to reduce
News
the
networks
amount
can
of
be biased,
misinformation
okay.
that's going around the globe.
Everybody has
on
an
this
agenda.
topic. John.
About the change in the leadership of the organization, what does that mean going forward, and why so early on is this happening?
What organization?
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
Well, look, this was a creative idea that the president called for.
It's
to
just
get
a
aid
stutter,
into
yeah.
the region. These people were desperate and starving, and the president didn't like seeing imagery of that, and he wanted to ensure that aid.
Yeah, like the one rally that all the media outlets decided to televise is the one that Trump, Trump had an attempt on his life. Yep, exactly. Where they were like, Trump falls at rally when he actually got shot. Pretty crazy.
Aid was brought in.
Don't understand American
with the
love
approval of Israel
guns,
for
why is
understandable
still allowed
reasons. We
to
will never
buy for
forget the
everyone?
brutal attack on October 7th. And again, this is something that the previous administration was unwilling to put the time and
I'm pretty sure a
effort
lot of
into
states
doing.
or a lot of countries and states that like have gun bans, the crime rate is
talking about
high.
the president's
Still.
mass deportation program
Sure.
and his priorities. 40%
Guns
of
don't kill
crop
people,
farm
people kill
workers
people.
in the U.S.
Pretty simple.
are undocumented, and that's according to
Bad
the
guys are still going to
Agriculture
find a way to get a
Department.
gun.
Do they have a carve-out in terms of the
They don't care if they're
president's
banned
mass
or not.
deportation program?
The president and the Trump administration have been very clear. If you are in the country illegally, you are subject to deportation.
Is there any concern that, given that large number, if that number is correct, 40% of crop farm workers being undocumented, that could impact the food supply here in America if those individuals that obviously help pick crops all across the country are deported en masse?
Again, this administration is focused on deporting individuals who are in our country illegally. It's something we have to do. We cannot allow the previous administration's invasion of our country of illegal immigrants
They just
to
let everybody
continue.
in.
We just can't have it. And this is
I
a
think they were
going to
like try to legalize them. They're like, okay, you guys are citizens now.
They have a president
And
who has
then
their backs
all those
and
people
listens
that
to
we
their
let in, we're going to
concerns,
vote
and
for
hears
obviously
them,
the
but we
people
also
that
have
made it legal
a legal
for them to be
pathway
here.
to come to this country
And then
work
Democrats
in
would have just stayed in
specifically
power
for
forever.
agricultural work. So
That's what
there's
they
a
wanted.
legal way to do it, and we
That's what they
encourage
wanted.
that legal pathway, and we're currently working on
And I
strengthening
think that's
our
the only
legal
reason
immigration
why
system for that reason.
they let them in the country. Not because,
Thank you,
oh, we got
Caroline.
to be kind to
Just
people.
wanted
It's
to
like, no.
follow up on,
They wanted the
your
votes
statement last
because they
week
wanted to
regarding the
legalize
Mueller
it
report.
and get the votes and
You
stay in
said that
power. It's all
there
about power,
was,
guys.
You said, I understand there were some
It's all about
formatting
the
issues
power.
with
They don't give a
Mueller
crap
report
about
that
the
are being
people.
addressed,
They just want
and
to
that
stay in power
report
for
will
as
be
long as they possibly
updated.
can.
We also understand that since that, there have been some citations that
Just
came
my
about.
opinion.
There's citations of studies that either did not exist or did not back up the report's conclusions. So when you were referring to formatting errors, is that what you were talking about, or was it, could you just explain that?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. There were formatting errors, and those errors were updated by the proper policy components here at the White House, and a new report was issued. So exactly what I said took place. Sure, go ahead, Alec.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Congresswoman Mary Miller suggested that changing Pride Month to Family Month. I would personally like to see maybe a nuclear family month. Some people are saying, let's get a Veterans Month. Does the president have any plans on making a proclamation, or is it just going to be June this year?
Well, there are no plans for a proclamation for the month of June, but I can tell you this president is very proud to be a president for all Americans, regardless of race, religion.
All
or
Americans.
Caroline. Reagan, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline.
And then I'll go to you.
Thank you. Colorado passed sanctuary protections
That's
for
Sweden or
illegals
Switzerland, they
1
have a
month
law
before the terrorist attack
that makes
this
it so
weekend.
you have to own a
Two
gun?
questions. Why did the DHS remove the sanctuary cities list that he had published, which was
Interesting.
ordered by the president?
And then what is the administration going to do to further crack down on sanctuary jurisdictions to prevent attacks like what happened in Colorado?
Sure. The Department of Homeland Security will be issuing a new list of sanctuary cities, an accurate list of sanctuary cities. As for what we're doing to
if you're
crack
liking
down,
the content, guys, and if you want to see more of it,
various executive orders
hit that
and directed
subscribe
the
button.
Attorney
Turn on
General
notifications.
To prosecute
if you really want to help support
state
the channel and
local
keep the lights on,
who are not complying with
consider
federal
hitting the
immigration
join button and becoming a
authorities
channel
and
member.
most importantly, federal immigration law.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline.
Oh yeah, Caroline.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
So, does the president take calls from foreign leaders on the tariffs on steel and aluminum? Does he still intend to double them tomorrow morning?
The president will be signing that executive order today, and
Oh,
steel and
snap.
aluminum tariffs
So
will be going to 50%.
Those tariffs going to 50% aluminum and steel?
Pennsylvania,
I think that happened
plans
today because
to
this
deliver on that promise to Pennsylvania.
this briefing took place yesterday, so I guess that's happening today.
Thank you, Caroline. So a Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson today said that the U.S. imposed harmful measures like new chip controls and pledging to revoke Chinese student visas. So are the Chinese the victims in this trade back and forth?
Look, I don't think anyone is the victim. These are two strong countries, and as I said, the president has a good relationship with
Places
China's
with the most crime rates are the
leader,
places with the
and
most
that
strict
discussion
gun
will take
laws.
place later
Yeah,
this
it's
week.
kind of
What other
interesting.
authorities is the president looking at for tariffs?
Like I said,
should
if you're a bad dude,
the decision in the
bad
appeals
guy,
court not go his
bad
direction?
person,
Well, right now, his
that
tariffs
wants to do
remain
bad
in
things,
effect.
you're
We
going to
spoke
find a way to
at
get it
length
done.
in my briefing last week
Or you're
about
going to hop in a
that,
car
decision
and
that
do
came
bad
down
things with the
from
car.
The
Are
International
we going to
Trade
ban
Court,
cars?
which
I
has
don't
been
think
put
so.
on pause because the president absolutely does have the authority to implement tariffs and to declare a national emergency for our crippling trade deficit. He could always have the power to use Section 202 or Section 301 as well to impose tariffs if he deems necessary, especially Section 202 tariffs, which are sectoral, as you know, to protect our critical supply chains here at home.
Thanks, Caroline.
You're welcome.
You've got U.S. business leaders begging for certainty. So why did the president suddenly decide to hike tariffs on steel and aluminum again?
You also have U.S. business leaders begging to meet with this president and begging
True.
to come to the
True.
White House
Very true.
to talk to him because they know that he is a negotiator in chief.
Thanks for
that
popping
he's
in,
making
FFA.
good deals on behalf of the American worker and the steel worker, in particular when it comes to the steel and aluminum tariffs, which he discussed in his speech at length at Pennsylvania and the need for them. And I would just add, I was at that speech on Friday with the president, and there were 2,000 steel workers and their families
And we get
in the
45
room, many of
likes
them
on
wearing
this
their
video,
hard
guys.
hats.
We got
I spoke
45
to
viewers.
one
Can we get
backstage who said
45
this is
thumbs
the
up?
greatest thing that has
Also,
happened
vote
for that
on the poll we
community
got going in the
Pittsburgh,
chat. Do you think the
Pennsylvania
press
in
is
60 years,
trustworthy?
because this is a president who
73%
doesn't
of you
just
say
talk
no.
the talk, he walks the walk
Out
too.
of 30
And he's
votes,
delivering on his promises to bolster
74%
our steel
no,
and aluminum industries in this country
and,
and to protect
26%
those
say
jobs.
yes.
If not for this president, that steel plant in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania
Very
would have
interesting.
closed. Those jobs would have been lost. And the president saved that company, he saved those jobs, and he's saving that community. And that's the intention of the steel tariffs, which he will sign later this afternoon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Diana,
We'll
how you
see
doing,
later.
Diana? So there you go, guys. That was the White House press briefing from June 3rd, 2025. Went over a lot of different things. I guess we got some tariffs going on, steel and aluminum starting today, June 4th. But yeah, what do you guys think? Is the press trustworthy? Vote in the chat. If you want to see more videos like this on my channel and show up on your newsfeed, subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. Are you pro-Trump? Do you hate Trump? Do you think he's doing a good job? Do you think he sucks at being a president? Do you think Joe Biden would have been better? Do you think Kamala would have been better? Let me know in the chat. I'm curious. I'm very curious what you guys think. I think he's doing a good job so far. He's only been in office like what? Not even half a year? Not even a year? Not even half a year? What has it been like 3 or 4 months? And he's done a crap ton in 3 or 4 months. I think he's doing a relatively good job, all things considered. That was from the official White House YouTube channel. I guess Elon had his last day at Doge, so he's still going to be kind of like a consultant. He's going to focus on like Tesla and SpaceX and the Boring Company and making Tesla bots and self-driving taxis, focusing on that now. But the very interesting things, if you haven't left a comment, drop a comment down below. Grace Beluzer says, if you're a Republican, you know the press can't be trusted. But if you're a Democrat, you know the press can't be trusted. Grace Beluzer, how you doing, man? Interesting, very interesting. Consider all the corrupt government that keeps resisting every millimeter of progress. Yeah. Just common sense. I feel like this administration is the administration of common sense. Closed borders. You know, got to have security at the borders. Secure borders. Why is that so hard to, like, understand? Like, what's wrong with that? Why wouldn't you want secure borders? Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want to stop the wars that are going on and just get everybody to get along, you know, make some business deals, everybody starts prospering? Why wouldn't you want that? You want to get along. We want to get along. And Metalman, at the chat, there's like a live chat button, and then there's like a top chat button. If you hit the live chat button, that's what I'm seeing. The top chat only picks certain comments for some reason, so I have the live chat turned on, so maybe that's what you're seeing. I don't know. If you're brand new on the channel, if this is your first time watching, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Trump doing a good job? Is he doing a bad job? I'm curious, guys. I'm very curious. Got a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of news stories going on. A lot of news. Well, yeah, guys, consider hitting that subscribe button. Do a lot of videos on my channel, a lot of live streams. I have over 6,042. No, wait, that's subscribers. We're heading towards 7,000 subscribers, and I have over 2.6 thousand videos on the channel. Been doing this a while. A lot of videos, gaming videos, reaction videos, random videos, a little bit of everything. If you guys like what you saw, consider subscribing. Also, if you want to become a channel member, click that join button. Get access to members only behind the scenes stuff like this, random vlogs, all that cool stuff. Random stuff I do in my spare time, you know, the behind the scenes stuff, behind the scenes. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. It's getting late and I got to go to work tomorrow because I got to bring home the bacon. Because nobody's going to do it for me, you know. But thank you guys for watching. Like it, subscribe, hit the join button, all that good stuff. Thank you for popping in. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for being mostly, you know, pretty nice in the chat. I know a lot of people disagreed with what I was saying, but for the most part, everybody was pretty cordial. So I appreciate that. Didn't have to ban anybody or put anybody in a timeout. So appreciate that. Yeah, definitely hit that subscribe button, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Until then, my name is Adam, and remember, keep counting game on. Toodles!